flourish your way. One of the things that I really love about Arbonne is the versatility that we have in building this business. It really allows us to have some flexibility in owning our strengths and kind of meet people where they are. So you have a lot of freedom to build this business in your own way, but we want to make sure that no matter what we're doing, we all focus on 6 S's. And you've heard a lot today already. Several trainings have kind of dug into these S's deeper, so I'm just going to briefly cover some of my top tips for each one. But the first one is start the conversation. And again, you already heard a fantastic training on this, but one piece of advice that I have is just to get really good at loving and listening. Being a good listener, asking good questions, getting to know people, and expanding your life network. Find common ground with people no matter where you go. The second one is scheduling. This is something that I think it's important to realize that we have to be more in control of this and be a little bit more in command of this, because this is our business, so it's more important to us than it is to other people. So avoid saying things like, I'm open whenever, whatever works for you, get back to me whenever. Sometimes we don't want to be pushy, or we don't want to come off as being too aggressive, but we have to remember that this is what we think about, and this is the business that we're building, but other people have incredibly busy lives. And so be intentional about your follow-up and the wording that you choose, giving people options, or I have a busy week next week, but I have this time available, does that work for you? And not only scheduling events with people to grow our business, but also for ourselves, scheduling our own time. This is an area that I have been working really hard to have growth in, just this whole idea of time management. Because I heard this one time in a training, and it really helped me stop making excuses for the amount of time that I had. She said, everyone thinks that he is the busiest person on the planet. Everyone thinks that. So it really helped me to realize when I was saying things like, with the kids, and we've got this, and we've got soccer, and I'm working, and all these different things, it's just choosing your priorities. And oftentimes we make excuses around time, but it's not about the amount of time that you have, it's about how you prioritize it. And I think that there's so many things, if we were really being honest with ourselves, there's so many things that we do that waste time that we could definitely use in a more effective way. I went whitewater rafting recently for the first time. It was amazing. The guide was telling us that, before, it was the first time that I'd ever gone, and the guide ahead of time was telling us about all the terrible things that could happen, so you're prepared when you're in the raft, if this were to happen. One of the things that he talked about was, if we were to get tossed out of the raft, and you're near a large rock, that it's very likely that you can get pulled into what's called a riptide. And it's where you try to swim away, but the current actually sucks you back under, and then you pop back up, and you just keep repeating the cycle. And he was telling us how to get out of it, because he said, we'll come for you, we'll help you, but eventually what would happen if you stayed in this riptide is eventually it would drown you, because you're not strong enough to get out of it unless you follow these steps. But it really made me stop and think about how bad habits in our lives, oftentimes we'll do this when we have a goal or we have something that we're going for. We have things in our lives that are continuously just kind of pulling us in because they're habits. We tend to fall back to what we're used to doing. And we fall back to negative habits that eventually will kill your dreams, or eventually will keep you from doing the things that you want to do. Because back to the slight end, it's so easy to do some of these things, but also so easy not to. So really pay attention to your habits. Pay attention to where your time is going, and take ownership of that, and stop making an excuse that you don't have the time, because again, it's not about time, it's about priorities. The next one then is sell. Be a product of the product. So you guys want to make sure one of the most important things in sharing these products is using the products. And so I wanted to play a short little video for you. We can go ahead and roll that. Which one's your favorite?
Oh my gosh.
It's hungry. And it's
Like them all, huh? All the fit sticks.
Alright, so that's my 2-year-old. And what's so funny because we were just playing outside and he starts, I was drinking my fit stick, and you're not supposed to give fit sticks to kids, but he hears me talk about them all the time, or every once in a while he'll like grab mine. But I had no idea that he knew all the flavors of fit sticks. He's like, pomegranate, citrus. It's because I use the products. It's because I use them, my husband uses them, we are an Arbonne household, and people recognize if you're using the products or you're not. And you're really obviously doing yourself a disservice if you're not fully embracing our product catalog and the amazing versatility that we have in all of our products and using them, because people notice that you're using them. Live the Arbonne lifestyle. As you're interacting with people, match a need with what we have to offer. Always remember that we're adding value to people's lives. Give a reason why you love something. This is why if you're just like putting something up with facts, that doesn't sell near as well as when you're sharing stories or before and afters or testimonials, things that people can relate to and go, oh yeah, I struggle with that too, or I know somebody who does. All right, next one, sponsor. You guys, attraction versus desperation is so important when we're talking about sponsoring people. We want to be so excited about what we're doing and have such positive energy that people naturally want to be a part of what we're doing. Do the first 5-minute energy test. When you walk into a room or you start a conversation with somebody, what kind of energy are you bringing? When you walk into a room, are you positive and encouraging and uplifting and everyone's like, I'm so excited to see you? Are you the person that like runs in late and is like, complaining about why you're late and complaining about different things that are happening and just kind of bringing the energy down? Pay attention to the energy that you bring when you're around people and even in your own home too. Do people notice a difference in you? Always be kind. Remember that a no is still a seed planted. Love people coming and going. Remind them that the door is always open. Don't underestimate what a little extra can do for someone. Use inclusive language when you're talking about, let's do this together. We would have so much fun doing this together. Use language that empowers and edifies and uplifts them and what you see in them and what this business can do for them. Excitedly live out the Arbonne lifestyle, share what it's done for you, and invite people to join us in this movement. And remember, it usually takes 4 to 7 positive exposures before people are more open to the idea. All right, the next test then is service. Remember that people are wearing an invisible sign that says, make me feel important. Our former president said that, and I think that that's so true. Appreciate people for their business. Check in with them. I like to follow the 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. When you have someone join you in the 30 days, coach them through it. Help them through that. Check in on them. I heard a training one time that said follow-up is a matter of integrity because it's following through on what you said you were going to do. It's not weird or crazy or pushy if you say, okay, I'm going to check in with you tomorrow, or I'm going to check in with you in a couple days. It actually shows integrity if we follow through on that and do what we say we're going to do. Self-development. Your business will not outgrow you and your belief. One of my new national vice presidents said this, and I love it. She said, chase the leader and the best version of yourself, not the title. A title is something that's given and taken away, but a leader is who you are. And one of the greatest gifts that this business gives us is the pursuit of the best version of ourselves. All right, so moving on then, believing in Arbonne's business model and products. You guys, I was so excited when I saw that this was something that Arbonne wanted me to cover, because I believe that there are 5 keys that make us completely unstoppable. The first one is our products. We have the best products on the planet, and we're always evolving to be better. We empower people to live a more holistic lifestyle, which is what people so desperately want nowadays. We have ingredient integrity. We adhere to our standards because we care about the environment. The materials are sustainably sourced. We use fair trade principles, vegan. These are all things that are huge values to people today. We have pure, safe, beneficial products that show results, and we get the opportunity to help people look and feel their best. Like, how amazing is that we get paid to help people look and feel their best? The second thing that I'm super passionate about is the people. There is nothing like the community of Arbonne and the ability to be somewhere where we get to cheer each other on, support each other. It was not like that in the corporate jobs that I had. In Arbonne, you have people that cheer the loudest when you shine your brightest, when in a lot of other arenas, that's not what's happening. One of my best moments of the whole experience of training at GTC was there is a moment when they announced my name before I walked out on stage. There was my team and people who were like loving me and supporting me, cheering so loud that the person who was reading off my introduction had to stop and wait for them to be quiet. And it just was this moment as I was waiting backstage where I thought, how lucky am I that I have people surrounding me that have my back no matter what, that are cheering their loudest when I'm shining my brightest, that believe in me more than I believe in myself. In Arbonne, we have the ability to be with people who speak life into us. We encourage, edify, and elevate. People who are willing to speak truth in love so that we can become a better version of ourselves, and people who are constantly raising the bar. It's such a gift to be able to be a part of this community. Number 3, the platform. You guys, social media, technology, the ability to build a virtual business, a mobile global business. It's so incredible. It blows my mind that I get to wake up every morning with my babies and build a thriving business at the same time while having the financial freedom and the time freedom. People are desperately looking for extra income, time freedom, and health. And in Arbonne, we have the ability to offer people all 3 of those things. Number 4, the potential. The potential is unlimited. You truly get to write your own paycheck, and there's nobody telling you, I'm sorry, but you've shared Arbonne with too many people. Capped you out. Okay, when I was in my corporate job and I was working as an interpreter and I was working really, really hard and I was doing all the right things and I was showing up, they were on a pay freeze for about 3 years, so nobody got raises. Finally, my boss called me in the office on year 4 and said, you're one of our strongest workers, you're doing so great, we appreciate you, we value everything that you're doing. So as she slided the paper across the desk, she's like, we're able to give you a 4-cent an hour raise. And I sat there in my chair thinking, like, is that even worth the paperwork? Like, I was so taken back and kind of almost thought she was joking, but she wasn't. But it was no coincidence. I don't believe that same month I had matched what I was making as an interpreter with my Arbonne business, and my Arbonne check was continuing to grow, and I walked out of that office so grateful that I was building another avenue of income, and at that time I thought it was my plan B, but obviously became an incredible plan A. The Mercedes-Benz cash bonus, the trips that we get to go on. We get to have the opportunity for all of this without paying overhead costs of traditional businesses, buying inventory, or paying employees. You guys, it's such a brilliant business model. Number 5, purpose. This business allows you to live a life full of purpose. It allows you to ask if time and money were no object. What am I created to do? What do I really want to do? I love this quote. It says, ask not what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. You guys, in our society today, we have people who are unhealthy, who are stressed out, overworked, underpaid, and miserable. We have an opportunity where the products allow us to look and feel our best, and we get to help other people do the same thing. We're surrounded by the best people. We have the best business model, unlimited potential, and it allows us to live a life full of meaning and purpose. You guys, the world has nothing on us. Remember that when someone is negative, you'll have people, you'll come up against, you'll meet people who just don't see it like we do yet. And that's okay. Sometimes it takes a little time, but in the meantime, ignore the criticism. Anybody who's ever been critical along my journey, either they were not where I aspired to be, like they didn't have the life that I was looking to create for myself and my family, and nobody ever offered me a better solution. It's just being critical for the sake of being critical, I guess. But I love the quote by Theodore Roosevelt. He says, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly." This is my favorite part. "So that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat." Don't let people look down on you, you guys. This is an incredible opportunity. And you know what? A lot of them come around. When they see you sticking with it and they see you having success, it kind of goes like this. I used this analogy in a training once. Like if you imagine people just lined up, and the line represents sort of status quo or average, and somebody has the courage to step out and do something different. A lot of times the people on the line will say, like, "Step back. You gotta step back. Those things never work." People will be critical because I've learned that courage and criticism go hand in hand. There's something that makes people sort of innately want to bring you back to the status quo. And I find that people have three responses. Sometimes after they have the courage to step out, they start actually listening to the people on the line. And they're like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't think I can do this. You're right. Those things don't work out." And they step back. The second is people stay out, but they turn around and they try to convince the people, like, "No, you're wrong. Like, I know this is a good decision." But the third option is that people keep walking. They keep stepping, walking by faith, and listening to the people who are where they want to be. You guys, when you keep stepping forward and you keep taking those steps of faith, two things happen. I see this happen all the time. The people on the line see you going further and further and having more success. And they're like, "Oh, she actually quit her job, or he actually got that Mercedes." And they start to be like, "I knew you could do it. I was cheering for you the whole time." No, you were not. Step back on your products. But the other response that happens, and this is my favorite, is that it gives other people courage to step out and to think, if she's doing it, if he's doing it, then maybe I can too. You guys, believe in yourself. I don't know if you have any Lauren Daigle fans in here, but my anthem for this year is one of her songs. I'll read you just a couple of the lyrics. It says, "I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know." You guys, at the end of last year, because of things happening outside of Arbonne, really had nothing to do with Arbonne, but I felt like God was really trying to teach me this idea of like, your voice matters. I kept coming back to that phrase. It's just something that kept coming through my mind, like, your voice matters. That it was no longer okay to keep shrinking back and believing that everybody else could do it better. That my voice mattered and I needed to start stepping out into my greatness. That playing small wasn't serving anyone. That I was created with a purpose. And that fear and insecurity were a complete waste of my time and energy. Your voice matters. I declared it as my focus for 2019. I talked about it at our managers retreat in February. In March, I got a call asking if I'd speak on the main stage at GTC on the topic of vision right before the keynote. In April, before I even stepped foot on the stage at GTC, I was asked if I would be the keynote here in Albany. I figured since God laid that phrase on my heart and then gave me these incredible platforms to share my heart, maybe I'm not the only one who needed to hear that message. Maybe it's time we all stop giving power over to fear and insecurity and decide that together we're going to rise up, step into our greatness, know that we were created with a purpose, and passionately and unapologetically live boldly to serve other people. I believe someone in this theater needs to be reminded that your voice matters just as much as I needed to learn it. Because so many times I think we question, who am I? Who am I to do that? Who am I to build vision? Who am I to train? Who am I to have this or that? But what I want to challenge you is to turn that question around and think, who am I not to? Who am I not to do those things? Who are you to play small or shrink back or silence your voice? Because the world needs you, your journey, your heart, and your life experiences. When I got the phone call to ask if I'd train at GTC, I assumed somebody was calling me about stuff for France for the ENVP challenge trip. And when she asked if I'd train at GTC, I was so kind of like taken back because I didn't understand. I'm like, why did you pick me? And I even said that to her. I said, I don't understand why you're giving me this opportunity, but I won't let you down. She asked if I would train in Albany, and I said, literally nobody in Albany knows who I am. She said, that's not true. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty true. I know that. And I know that because it's funny because even in Maui, you guys, I think at least 3 of the years I've been to Maui, at least one national vice president is like, hi, who's your mom? And I'm like, there, with my national vice president mother. Which is and so I said that. Seriously. It's funny, actually, Christy Dryland's husband, the first year that I was there, was trying to set me up with his 18-year-old son. I was like, I have like a lot of kids. I'm a national vice president. So funny. All right, but Sarah said, well, they will know. They will know your name after GTC. And I said, well, what MVPs plug into Albany? And she said Sheila Green, and she named a bunch of other incredible MVPs, but all I heard was like, wah wah after that, because I was like, Sheila Green? She's amazing! She's so amazing! And she's so incredible! And so then afterwards I'm thinking like, well, I should probably send her a message and tell her like, hey, I'm Carrie, I'm coming to your keynote, and like maybe introduce myself. But you guys, I ran into her, she doesn't even know that I'm going to tell the story, I don't even know where she is. But I ran into her in the bathroom at GTC, and she said, Carrie, and she called me by name, so first of all I was like, okay, she knows who I am. She said, you're coming to Albany, I'm so excited, I requested you. Often don't see our own light. We dim our own light in a dark world desperate for light. So shine your brightest and we will be cheering the loudest for you. So will you join me, Albany, in believing that insecurity is a waste of our time and energy? That we've got big things to do and lives to change. And if it's not loving ourselves, cheering ourselves on, speaking life into our heads and our hearts, if it's not those thoughts, then we have no space for it. You were created with a purpose that only you can uniquely fulfill. So don't buy into the lie of when I promote to this level, when I get the car, when I do this, then you will have more, worth or value or believe more in yourself. The time to rise up, believe in yourself, live your life with purpose, and show up like a leader, and know that you can change the world is always today. It's always today. And you guys build with urgency because people need what we have. Let me see, hold on, let me get the clicker. It has been an unbelievable year, you guys. I got to go on the ENVP challenge trip, not only with my husband, but my brother, because my sister-in-law got to go on her first ENVP challenge trip as well. So we got to do that together. These three are 3 of the new national vice presidents, one of them being my mom. I mean, how amazing. But their last name, these are 3 of the new national vice presidents of my organization, and their last names are Lauber, Lance, and Landy. So they got to walk at the exact same time, walk out together. You guys, I got to spend time with John David. I got to train. I got to just do the most incredible things and have the most insane experiences. You guys, it's more than I could have ever asked or imagined. And I want to share a story because it's truly one of the greatest stories I've ever had the privilege of being a part of. So I went to college with a girl named Emily, and we were in our interpreting program together. After college, we sort of went our separate ways, but we stayed in touch. We didn't stay. We actually didn't talk to each other for like 10 years, but we were connected on Facebook. One day I saw that she and her husband were adopting, and adoption is something that's always tugged at my heart ever since I was 14 years old and I watched the documentary. It has just been something that I think adoption is one of the most beautiful things. So I started following her journey on Facebook, and it seemed like things were really moving along, but then all of a sudden I noticed she was putting posts up like saying, please pray for us. I know that God's going to make a way. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on, so I reached out to her, and I was like, Em, what's going on? And I hadn't talked to her in over 10 years. And she explained to me that it normally takes 6 months to a year to be matched with a potential child they were adopting from China. But the day that they got logged in after submitting all their paperwork and everything, like the day that their file went live, was the same day that the agency had a little girl's file come through, and they thought that it would be a match for her. They called my friend right away and said, we think that we found your daughter. Ellie, here in this picture, is deaf, and because my friend is proficient in sign language, that's how we met each other, they marked on their form that they were open to take a child who couldn't hear, so they thought it would be a good match. 3 other families had already turned down Ellie's file. My friend said yes right away. She explained to me, she said our biggest fear when we felt called to adopt was money, because we knew we couldn't afford it, and that was something we did not take lightly. She said, I've been picking up extra shifts at work. We have no debt, we're being very careful, we're saving, but we're still a paycheck-to-paycheck family. So like I said, she'd been picking up extra shifts. They'd been saving, and they applied for every grant possible. She said, we weren't expecting it to happen this fast. We thought we had more time. They still needed about $25,000 when they got the call that they could go get Ellie if that's what they chose. So they thought they would have more time, and she explained to me that one of the biggest hurdles was flights, because it was a variable expense, and because you have to be ready to just go and fly when all the paperwork goes through. It was peak flying season, so the flights were more expensive, and it was a variable cost, so you don't know exactly how much you have to save. So after hearing her story, you guys, reading her message and understanding where she was in this process, for days I couldn't shake what she had told me. It weighed on my heart, and I could not get her off my mind. I knew that I needed to do something. And like I said, adoption is a passion of mine, and I'm a sign language interpreter, and she's adopting a little deaf girl. I'm an intervention specialist. My heart bleeds for children with special needs. So being a part of her story felt so in line with my heart and what I want my life to stand for. For several days, I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I reached back out to her, and I said, hey, Ed, what if I pay for your flights? Since that's a variable cost and you don't know the amount, what if I say I'm covering them no matter what they cost when you're ready to go? She wrote back a message on Facebook saying, so she has 3 biological daughters, and she said, I'm rocking my daughter, and she said, I can't stop crying reading your message. What I didn't know when I offered that was that over the days that I was praying and thinking about it, they had, out of the blue, received a matching grant. Their church offered to match $4,000. Their friend offered to match up to $2,000. So literally the only thing left was the airfare. And then I sent her that message. And so she said to me in her message, do you even know what a plane ticket to China costs? I said, I have no idea. She said, we're taking our oldest daughter. She said, that's 3 flights going out and 4 coming home. And I said, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. You guys, I was so sure I forgot to tell my husband about it. Looking back, I don't recommend that. I was literally with one of my girls who was finishing regional vice president. I get a call from my husband. He's like, someone stole your credit card. I do, like, totally not even thinking about that. I said, why? He said, it's so weird. Thousands of dollars just got wired to an adoption agent. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. That was me. Don't worry about it. You guys, this picture on the right was a picture that my friend sent me flying home with Ellie on the plane. On the plane, the way home, with a message saying how grateful they were. The picture on the left is Ellie right before they picked her up. You see, the other thing I didn't know when I offered to buy those tickets was that because she was born with hearing loss, okay, we're gonna do this. Ellie was extremely neglected in the orphanage. When they got her, she had bug bites all over her body. She hadn't been bathed. You guys, she was 2 years old and she was only fed bottles. She was never taken outside. She didn't show a lot of emotion because she had already learned at such a young age that when she cried, nobody came. She didn't know how to be held because nobody ever held her. She was only given bottles, so still to this day, my friend has to puree her food because she missed those like formidable years of developing how to eat normally. She didn't have what every child deserves, which is dignity, love, and a home. But here's a video that my friend sent me not that long ago of her. Let's see. I'm sorry. Go play.
Oh my gosh.
You see, people will often ask me if building this business is worth it. And when they say, Carrie, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? All the no's and the hard growth and the years of feeling stuck and the insecurities that you have to work through and the people quitting and all the hard work. Is it worth it? You guys, sometimes my eyes fill with tears and I look at you square in the eyes and I say, hell yes. Yes, I say yes, because I think about a little girl who maybe a month, maybe 2 weeks, maybe just even 1 day sooner got to be carried out of that orphanage in the arms of her mother. Because I said yes to Arbonne, not just the day that I signed up, but every day since then for the last 13 years. See, here's what I want you to know. You may not have your why completely figured out yet. You may not know what your life purpose is. I didn't figure mine out until last year when I was an ENVP. Sometimes I think we figure it out as we go, like pieces of a puzzle, but here's my advice. Pay attention to what brings you immeasurable joy and what breaks your heart so badly it keeps you up at night. And even if you don't have it all figured out, build it anyway. Because when you do figure it out and an opportunity comes along that aligns so much with your heart, you will never regret being able to say yes. And here's the other thing I want you to know. You know, we spend so much time looking at other people's journeys and comparing ourselves, but no other Arbonne consultant went to Bethel and graduated with my friend Emily. That was my calling. It was my purpose. So it doesn't matter what journeys look like around us. Your path has a purpose. Your story is significant, and your voice matters. You guys, I went to a small Christian college called Bethel in a small town called Mishawaka. I graduated with 12 students in my interpreting class. But here's what I want you to know. The areas of your life that you think are small might be connected to the most significant thing you ever do. It was for me. You guys, finish this year strong. Have vision, set goals, break them into benchmarks, celebrate, and remember that the mountains that come up in your business will end up being small molehills if you stick with it. Repeating that cycle of success compounded over time will create massive momentum in your business. And I can't wait for the day that you look around and realize that it's more than you could have ever asked or imagined. I want to play a video that I made for GTC to illustrate this point, and so many people have asked me for this video, and they're turning it into a link that's shareable, so I will post it. If you're like friends with me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram, I will get it posted once it's ready. But you guys, I wanted to make a video that illustrated this powerful point that we start our business for one thing, but it ends up being so much more. So if we could roll that video.
When I started Arbonne 7 years ago, my big dream was to be able to stay home with our future children. I never imagined that consistently working my business would offer me the opportunity to not only replace my income, but my husband's income as well. My husband now volunteers as a full-time staff member for a nonprofit organization called Medical Missions Outreach. We get to travel all over the world, sharing God's love with thousands of people and providing eye care for those who can't afford it. Little did I know that my vision would lead to helping others have vision, literally. Now I know this is just the beginning.
I started my Arbonne business because I really wanted to stay home with our children. I did not know the journey of infertility that was ahead of us. My Arbonne business provided the financial help we needed to continue seeking treatment. When I look at their sweet little faces, I feel compelled to help others facing similar struggles. My vision has grown from wanting to be home with my babies to helping other families experience the gift of having their own.
When I started my Arbonne business, I really just wanted to be able to afford the things I always wanted but was never able to, including going to the gas station and filling up my tank without checking my bank account. Because of my Arbonne business, I can now not only afford the things I want, but I can give back for the first time in my life. I would never live this life if it wasn't for Arbonne or the business opportunity. My soul is set on fire, and I'm not stopping until I help everyone in need.
I started Arbonne to be home with my son more and to help pay for his hearing aids. 2 years later, I had no idea that I'd be going through one of the most difficult times of my life and become a single mom. There were days that I didn't want to get out of bed, but it was the community of Arbonne and the hope of a better future that kept me going. I used to think my story didn't matter, but I've come to realize that sometimes what you see as your biggest detriment is the thing that inspires others the most. I used to be really shy and terrified of public speaking, but now I've started a podcast where I share my new vision of empowering others to keep fighting. I want them to know that there is hope and you can rise again.
I started my Arbonne business 8 years ago to improve our health and supplement our retirement. We've raised 5 kids and are blessed with 20 grandkids. I never imagined that at this phase of our lives, my husband and I would find ourselves pursuing the adoption of 4 siblings who are praying to stay together. It's because of my Arbonne business that I feel physically, emotionally, and financially able to do this. I am 63 years young, and thanks to Arbonne, I feel like I am just getting started.
That was Ketter's vision for us, you guys, is that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. We need to build this business with urgency because there are people who are literally praying for what we have to offer, and you will be able to be that answer to prayer with the business that you build. You guys, don't ever forget how much your voice matters. Albany, you are capable of building a wildly successful business, and the world is waiting for you to rise up. Thank you so much.